name is Stephen, and I'm actually originally from Malta, but right now I'm living in Finland, and this is just a quick introduction of who I am. So I basically did my studies. I most of the time was focusing on the theoretical side of IT, which was pretty fun, but as time went by, I like to see things working together much more, and I wanted to start seeing and touching actually real applications, real big applications. So then I basically, once I finished my studies, I started to focus more on enterprise integration. And lucky for me, my first real employer was actually focused mostly on open source, and I liked the place, I liked the space, and whenever I can, I always stick with open source. Of course, if you go to a client and this guy has already spent a lot of money on some proprietary stuff, then he needs to explain to his bosses why he spent that much money. So then I will have to end up using whatever technologies they are using over there, of course. But mainly, I have been working with Java all over the past years. And basically, I am working for Rixton, which is a company based in Malta, but we have clients from all over the place. And basically, Rixton originally had its focus on Mule. And Mule is this open source enterprise service bus. And we originally were doing development on the actual product, giving support. Now we are even giving training, so we have just developed the training for the latest version of Mule. And my main task right now is to do consulting. So basically, a client will call us in, we go fix a problem, or else we go to start and kick off a project. And of course, training. Now the nice thing with Mule is that it basically typically is used internally in the organization, and it's actually touching all the layers of the cake. So Mule will need to work with all of the different things inside your infrastructure, since it's responsible to integrate all of these together. So obviously we as a company which use Mule, we actually ended up having to become experts not only on Mule, but on all of these things. So we had to become experts on messaging, TBs, then at a higher level we have BPM messages and other applications. Now even UI, so we had to not only integrate the bottom layer, but even add the UI visual layer. And recently we have even started working a lot with Android. So we have already, for example, created a course for Android, and we are starting to offer it as part of our integration platform. So you don't just integrate the internals, the bottom, then you have to also provide different accesses to your integration platform. So basically, that's a brief introduction about me. Now, yes, you have 90 minutes, so don't get scared. Hopefully we'll manage to go through everything. But first we're going to talk a bit why we would want to do integration with Android. After that, we introduce our case study. It's a simple application just to portray what I'm saying. Then we have what is known as an Android primer, basically a quick run-through about how you would build Android applications. Hopefully, not everybody here is an Android expert. After that, we'll see quickly how we will have our Android application integrate with external applications. Then we see how we could have applications running inside the same mobile, integrate and work together. And finally, we have a quick look about what we are currently doing. So, something that we all should accept is that there is so much information scattered all over the place. And somehow we need to tap into all of this information. So if you look at the personal side, okay, you have your email, you have contacts on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all over the place. You have the music that you like, your preferences in music in Django, you have the videos that you like on YouTube. Everything is all over the place. And there are already companies out there who are trying to tap into this. So if we look, for example, at Facebook, they started originally as a social networking website. But now they're trying to provide everything. They're trying to consolidate everything inside a single place. And even service providers who do things completely different from Facebook are realizing that if our application is also available in Facebook, we have much more visibility and people would likely start using us much more. The same with Google. You have email, chat, document sharing, all in the single platform. Yahoo is another example. Basically, from the personal side, there's already a lot of competition when it comes to integrating this information, integrating all of these applications together. But there's the same opportunity on the enterprise side of things. So many companies have over time started to add more and more applications to help them with single tasks. Unfortunately, if you actually manage to get all of these applications working together, you will be much more efficient and you'd have much more information for management to can take correct decisions. And for example, Salesforce are actually right now one example where they started originally as a client relationship management platform, but now they're trying to offer a way to actually create your own business-specific applications using their Force.com offerings. And now they are even introducing a collaboration suite. Basically, again, trying to consolidate all the needs of the enterprise inside a single location, inside a single place. And this is basically where mostly I fit in, this enterprise integration. So I'm from a slightly different angle. So applications that we create will not normally end up on the Google market, but they will end up on the devices of employees of a specific company, a specific enterprise. So our angle is slightly different. So it's not just enough to integrate this information together, but we also need to be mobile. So our application needs to be mobile because users expect to be able to access all of their information from their handhelds. And one thing to note is that it's very important that the application and the device work together. So recently I was in the UK at a client in London, and I was on a train going to visit my sister. And basically I started to see which people were using what devices and for what. And for example, most people with suits, they all carried BlackBerry. And 99% of them were actually just sending and receiving emails. So BlackBerry as a device, it's wonderful to send and receive emails. Even though personally I really don't like it, it looks hideous, but many people will actually swear by it because it's a great platform for sending and receiving emails, and not just the device, but even the application. The email application on BlackBerry works great. So this device is where it is, not only because it's a good device, but also because of its applications. If you look at the iPhone, then you have iPhones being used by many different kinds of people. So there were guys with suits with iPhones, students with iPhones, but none of them were actually sending emails. Most of them were either playing, listening to music. Facebook I saw mostly on Android phone. So all the guys with the Android phones were mostly updating their status on Facebook. So for some reason, most of the iPhone people were using it for media, whereas Android more for browsing around. So they were on BBC and stuff like that. At least from my seat, that's what I was seeing. So what I'm trying to say here is that, a phone without great applications will not do well. And an application with a crappy device will not work either. So you need to make sure that you develop the phone and target it you develop the application and target it for the right device. So if you're going to create an application which is mostly for business people, you might actually want to take a look at BlackBerry instead of Android. However, Android is getting much more stronger, and it isn't anymore just a techie toy, a toy for those geeks. No, it's actually now being taken much more seriously. Now, of course, creating a mobile application is slightly different than creating a desktop application because we have many more challenges. The screen size is smaller, the network usage is much more expensive, it's slower, and a very big problem, which in my opinion is the battery life. If you have an application which is constantly using the processor or constantly using the network, it will basically suck your battery dry. And it's useless to have a mobile which is constantly connected with the socket. So as a developer, you have to be really careful that you create things as efficient as possible. Because if your application will suck the pockets dry of the user or the battery dry of the phone, the user will obviously uninstall it. So it's very important to be careful with what resources you are using. Luckily for us developers, these issues are diminishing because we are getting faster network speeds, cheaper network costs, and effectively now, with the coming up of these tablets becoming even more popular, we are going to get much more opportunities because we have bigger screens, longer battery lives, and even more power. So it's good to keep these tablets at the back of your head because the application will again need to be slightly different when it's running on a small screen when compared to a larger 10-inch screen, for example. Okay, now some people tell me, why even bother with a mobile application? Why not just create a website and have it mobile friendly? Well, the problem here is that users like to leverage all of the device's capabilities. So if the device has a GPS or an accelerometer or a camera, they like to use applications which utilize all of these. Now, browser-based applications are sometimes slightly limited on this side. Nowadays, there are actually extensions to JavaScript, for example, to give you a facility to tap into these kind of technologies. However, you will always be running catch-up. So if I have an application which is suggesting restaurants, for example, I would expect that once I open the application, it will see where I am and it will suggest restaurants close by. If I click on the phone number of this restaurant, I would expect that my mobile device will start calling that restaurant so that I could do a reservation. While I'm eating, I would expect that I can take a photo from my device of the food and then write a review. And then that gets uploaded on the website. So this is what I would expect an application to do, where it will try to use all of the device's capabilities when obviously it's possible. And basically, we are actually moving to a state where an application doesn't have to be only on your mobile, it's expected to be everywhere. I bought a TV recently, but when I was connecting it, I realized that I had a LAN socket that I could attach it to the internet. I had to open the manual to actually see what it could do.